Hello, everyone. This week, we're going to focus on the most fundamental aspect of HTML coding, which are elements and tags. And you'll see this week, this week we have our one and only quiz for the class. Most of the answers for that quiz will be in this PowerPoint, or certainly in the textbook, which you're welcome to refer to while completing the quiz. It should be an on-time quiz, so just complete it on your own time. And if you have any technical issues with it, let me know. But I did want to spend quite a bit of time talking about what elements and tags are, because they underline all of HTML. And I think if you understand what how elements and tags work, you will have a better understanding of how HTML works, which makes it seem like a less abstract thing. It might help you to better visualize how everything kind of integrates to turn a bunch of words in a notepad document into a website. So in HTML, a tag is like the beginning of a letter. Like it kind of says, "Hey, computer, do this," and it specifies what you want it to do. And there are generally two tags that come together. There's an opening tag that says, "Hey, computer, do this," and then there's a closing tag, which looks very similar to the opening tag, but has the backslash, and that's saying, "Hey, computer, now stop doing this. I'm done doing that. We're moving on to something else." And you need both the beginning and ending tags in order to have a complete instruction for the computer as what to do. If you only have a starting tag, then but not an ending tag, then you're basically saying, "Hey, computer, do this," but you're never telling it to stop doing that. So it'll keep doing it on and on and on all throughout your code and basically mess everything up. If you give it just an ending code and say, "Hey, computer, stop doing this," but you never told it to start doing it in the first place, then it's like, "You never told me to start doing this. Why am I stopping doing it now?" So those are very easy ways to create errors in your code, is simply forgetting a start or end tag. That's probably 70% of the errors that people have when you coding in HTML. Generally, the first tag might be called the start tag or the beginning tag, and that second tag is going to be the end tag or closing tag. And it's really the content in between those two tags that is actually going to be what is visible. And so the tags will tell the computer how to render content. The actual content that is rendered will be in between the tags. So the P here stands for paragraph. I want to produce a paragraph, and we're going to start the paragraph here and we're going to end it here. Whatever you type in between is what's going to actually be in the paragraph, and it's going to be what users see on the actual computer. They won't see any P's anywhere. So an element is the types of the tags you're using and the content that is placed between those tags. For instance, I give the example here of the H1 tag. That's a level 1 header. So the biggest and boldest header for your content would be an H1 header. There's also H2, H3 for second and third level headers, and so on. Now, I mentioned before that there are both opening and close tags in most cases. However, there is such a thing as an empty element, and those empty elements are generally going to be where the content that's going to be produced. Recall that I said the content in between these two tags is generally what's actually produced on the site. There are exceptions, and those exceptions are generally where the content is going to be specified in the actual tag itself. In the actual tag itself. And those are generally cases where the content is coming from somewhere external and being pulled onto the site. So here I give the example of an image. So you're telling computer, hey, I want to place an image here, and this is the image. And there'll be a list of empty elements, so you'll be able to refer to that as we build our sites. So, as I mentioned, most elements, except with the exception of the empty elements, of course, are going to have an open tag, content below between them, and a close tag. And I realize here that I just made a mistake. See, this is another kind of common mistake that I just made myself. So an open tag and the close tag should match. If this happened, the computer would be very confused because I said, hey, computer, create a level 1 header. And then I told it what to put, but then I said, hey, close that second level header. And it's like, you didn't tell me to make a second level header. So I guess I'll just keep producing everything in first level header in perpetuity and ignore this. And so you of course want to avoid that. I did that here too, man. bad coding here. Content is going to be layered together often. So that means you'll have elements within elements, you'll have tags compounding upon each other, and elements that are building within elements, kind of like a book. So you could consider here, this is common, that you'll have the HTML tags, you'll have the body tags, and then you'll have your content in between, and you'd have often a lot in between if you're creating a full website. And so you can consider it kind of like a book, as far as the HTML is generally going to be one of the first and last things you have on your site. It's kind of like the book cover, and then everything else goes in between the cover in order to create a cohesive story, website, whatever. And so until you close the tag, whatever you started here by opening the tag is going to affect everything in between the tag until you reach the close tag. So everything from here to here will be read by the computer as HTML code. Anything you place down here won't be. Anything in between the body and the closed body tag will be read as body content until you get to that close tag. And same thing with the headers. If I did it correctly, H1 and close H1, everything in between there, of course, is a level 1 header. You can also level content, I guess is what I call it, as for instance with a list. So all this content is related, it speaks to one thing, but it uses different symbols, different tags. And so this is a tag for an ordered list, OL, and the close tag for an ordered list. But within the ordered list, you need to be able to tell it what you want at each, an ordered list is a numbered list. So you want to say, this is what we want for point 1, this is for point 2, and so on. And to do that, you'd have to tell it you want to list items. So LI, close LI. So this is, I want to print first for number 1, second for number 2. If you didn't have the close tag here, and you just had LI first, and then you went down a line and put second, but you didn't have this close tag here, it would still print first, second as a single item, on a single line, rather than number them. So this is how you tell the computer, this is all I want on for number 1, this is all I want for number 2, and now I'm done with my list. So here I break it down in a little more detail over the next couple of slides. So we're considering here just printing, we want a level 1 header, print hello, close that. And I discuss how you can interpret what that's actually telling to the computer. Of course, it's not literally telling it this, but this is the equivalent of what you can imagine it telling the computer as far as what it's doing in the background. And so that opening tag is saying to the computer, hey, you computer, I want to create, and then you're specifying here, I want to create a level 1 header. And that's all I care about right now. Nothing special about the level 1 header, just want a level 1 header. Then in between, you put the word hello. So inside that level 1 header, I want you to print the characters that spell hello. Then the close bracket. Okay, Now stop, that's what this part means. And then you're telling it what you want it to stop, the level 1 header. And so it's basically, you can think of it, the symbols can make it confusing, but basically if you read it like a sentence, it's saying, hey computer, create a level 1 header that says hello, and then stop creating a level 1 header because that's all I want it to say. A little bit more complex code. So now we're including multiple elements together. So HTML, you're going to include this at the beginning of your web page because this says, hey computer, I'm speaking in HTML. I want you to follow HTML instructions. This is in opposition to if you specified Java or PHP. You're telling the computer what language you're going to use. Otherwise, if you just put this here, it doesn't know what language it's using. It would be like if you walked up to a stranger on the street and started speaking, Japanese or something, and they had never heard it before. They're like, what language are you speaking? I can't make any sense of this. And so you need to tell it, hey, get your HTML dictionary out because I'm going to start talking to you in HTML and I need you to follow my instructions. The OL, okay, we're going to create a numbered or ordered list. The LI, so the first number we're going to put here, list item, should say hi. And that is all we want it to say. We're going to end that. Then we go down, we have another LI. So the second number we want to say is there. And that's all we want to say for number 2. And then actually we're done. That's all we want. That's all we want in our list. So we're done with the list. And now that we've done that, we're ready for you to stop following HTML instructions. We're done with that. And that would create an ordered list on your website that would show up and just say, number 1, hi, number 2, there, and that's it. If any part of the instructions are missing, of course, as I've mentioned already, the computer won't know what to do. It's like giving it an incomplete sentence. If you were trying to translate or write a sentence and you left a big chunk of the sentence out and then still expected the reader to know what to do, of course, it wouldn't be able to do that. So if you consider just including the opening tag and the word hello, but not the closing tag, so it's basically like saying, hey, computer, create a level 1 header, and that's all I want right now. And inside that, put the words, the characters hello, and then not ending the sentence. And so it gets to the point where it reads that, but then it's never told to stop printing things in as a level 1 header. It's just, there's no closing tag. It's just going to keep printing everything forever in the H1 tag because it was never told to stop doing that. It doesn't want to break your rules. So obviously, if you never told it to stop printing a level 1 header, that must be what you want it to do. So it'll print everything after that as a level 1 header unless you go in and fix your code. And because it can't print other tags as a level 1 header, it'll generally cause an error and cause your site not to work. And so again, one of the easiest ways to mess up when you're building an HTML website is to just forget that the closing tags. And so that should always be one of the first things you look for when you're putting together any web page. That's, like I said, that's probably 3/4 of the issues. And it can be tedious to go back and check everything to make sure you have a close tag when you have 100 lines of code. But again, that's just how it is a lot of times. And we're using Notepad for this class because I think it's important to understand how to use that. But a lot of the technology that they have nowadays that you're coding within, like Dreamweaver or something like that, it's going to tell you if you forget to add a close tag. And so keep in mind that in this class, what we're using is not going to tell you if you screw up, but generally in the real world, it will tell you, hey, I think you meant to put a close tag here, because if I print this how you put it, the computer's not going to understand what I'm telling it. So software is pretty advanced nowadays in that way to help catch a lot of those errors. These are common elements you're going to be using in this course as we design our websites, and they're also Most of them are going to be on your quiz, so good ones to know. These are all listed in the Duckett book as well, so you can refer to it there. And I bolded elements where they're empty elements, and so these are just elements where you only need to print the opening tag, and then you're going to specify within the tag what content you actually want it to pull in or to provide, like an image, like some kind of input or form that you're going to have people putting in data, but it might not actually say something for them. It might just be at the blank where they enter the data, for instance. And so be sure to review all those and have those, what these represent: header 1, header level 2, header, paragraph, and title section, breaking, line break, unordered list. Have all these in mind when you go to take the quiz, and that'll make it really quick and easy for you. And just to wrap up, so these are all the things that are going to be included in the quiz. And the quiz is only, I think, 5 points. It's not worth a lot of points. You could get a 0 on the quiz, and if you do well and everything else, it's not going to matter or affect your grade really at all. But it's a good way to get you to focus in and understand these, because you are going to be using them a lot in the course. So keep in mind these tags, matching the tag from the last page to these ones. Keep in mind the definition of an element as provided in this PowerPoint and in the Duckett book, how that differentiates from a tag, the actual just existence of the open and closed brackets with content, as opposed to an element, which are the specific types of tags and what they do, and the correct way to compose an element. So with the open and closed tags, I'll ask you how to write like a level 1 header that says hello world. And so don't do what I did in this PowerPoint where I put the wrong thing, but H1 hello world and then close H1 is basically what's going to ask you to write. And that's pretty much it. I think it's 20 questions, should be pretty quick and easy. And of course, ask me if you have any questions. And right around the corner, we're going to get actually into building our sites.